Here are 10 things that you need to know before moving to Edmond, Oklahoma. My name is Kinsley and I'm a local realtor here in Edmond, Oklahoma and the surrounding areas. If you're thinking about moving in 10 days or 10 months, I'd love to be able to connect with you and help you on your move. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can give me a call, text, email, you can send me a DM or schedule a Google Meet. And again, I would love just to be able to connect with you and potentially help you, or at least just talk through the potential of you moving. So in this video, I want to give you 10, I would say more unique things that I think would be helpful to know before you move to Edmond. Or some of these honestly just before you move to Oklahoma in general, because some of these are going to be consistent across the state. But kind of as I framed these things, I wanted specifically to focus on Edmond. So the first thing is the sirens. And you may move here and ask yourself, is there always a tornado warning on Saturday at 12? And no, that is when they test the sirens. I've often had people come visit and we're looking at houses on Saturday, and at noon, it's kind of a shock of like, what in the world is that? And every Saturday at noon, they test the sirens. So if you hear the sirens Saturday at noon, chances are we're not under tornado warning, but they're just testing them out. Number 2 is the weather swings. And I think this is probably true for a lot of places, really across the United States, but definitely in Oklahoma, it is true that there are some weather swings. So you might wake up and it's 30 degrees in the morning, and then by the afternoon, it's 80 degrees. It also might be 30 degrees one day and 80 degrees the next. So you just maybe want to be prepared for that. Maybe keep a jacket in your car, maybe keep sunscreen in your car, because if you're not actively checking the weather every day, you might have a rude awakening for what's going to happen when you walk outside, or even like throughout the day as the weather changes. Number 3 of kind of things to know is I would probably get a PikePass, or at least have a good understanding of some of the back roads, or maybe just some of those roads that aren't the main roads that get super busy. I would say in Edmond, the traffic is fairly moderate. It's different type of traffic. It's more red light and stop sign traffic, but there are definitely roads that can get really congested, especially even thinking not those types of roads, but I-35 can sometimes get congested. First off, you might want to get a PikePass, because if you are going really across Edmond, or if you are going maybe to any of the other suburbs or just into the city, sometimes this PikePass can really come in handy. When we first moved here, I was determined not to get one, and then I just bit the bullet and bought one, because it makes it a lot easier just to have that PikePass already, and a lot cheaper as you're going on those toll roads. But also just kind of learn the side roads. So there's certain roads during the day you'll learn that just get really busy. So if you can learn some of those less busy roads to try to take, usually doesn't add much time to take different roads, especially as everything's very grid-like. So just kind of learn some of those other roads that you might want to take. For instance, instead of taking 2nd, you might want to take Danforth. Again, just depending on the time of day, schools, school zones, what schools are letting out, and things like that. Number 4 is you might want to invest in a lawnmower. You may be moving from a place where you have a lawnmower, you've cut your grass, it's not a big deal. However, some people move here and they're not used to that, and so you probably want to get one. Most places around here have a yard. Even if it's not a huge yard, it's still definitely decent enough where you need a lawnmower. And I wouldn't say for most people that they need to go out and buy the really big 0-turn can cut your grass in like 5-minute type of lawnmower. But if you are moving, you might want to look into what that looks like, and just budget for it if you don't already have one as you are making the move here to Oklahoma. Number 5 is you want to know the local festivities. Just a couple to mention is Herd on Herd. Herd on Herd happens the 3rd Saturday of every month from, I believe it's March to October. And this is a fun little event every month where different vendors come down to downtown Edmond. They close off the streets and you can kind of walk up and down. They have food trucks, again, different vendors selling things, and just kind of a fun activity to take. You could go and not buy anything, you just kind of walk around, and that's fun too. But you want to know about that. You want to know about Liberty Fest, which is the 4th of July festival here down here in Edmond, and just knowing little things like that that will make living in Edmond seem a lot more communal and really just taking advantage of all that the city has to offer. Number 6, and this is not a hard fast rule, but you might just want to know that golf carts are kind of popular around here. Now there's some neighborhoods where you won't see golf carts in and out, but there are definitely other neighborhoods where lots of people in the neighborhood have golf carts. And even if you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a golf cart, when you're just driving around town, you might see people driving golf carts from their neighborhood to the gas station or to pick up fast food. Different parts are going to be maybe have more of them than others, but golf carts are pretty popular, and it's not odd to see golf carts either in the neighborhoods or to see them again just kind of crossing the street to go to the gas station to get a Slurpee. Number 7 is to expect high school spirit. There are multiple high schools here in Edmond and then also across Deer Creek, And the sports, the rivalries, all of those things are definitely a big part of Edmond. And especially if you have kids within those school districts, I think you probably even feel it more so. But just the pride that each school takes in its own school, and then also kind of just those fun rivalries. So if you are into sports and you're into specifically high school sports, I think just kind of be aware that there are some high-spirited fans and kind of a fun atmosphere around that. Number 8 is that the utilities may surprise you. So if you live in really the main part of Edmond, you're going to be under Edmond Utilities, so it's city-owned. I actually live kind of on the western side, and so I actually have Oklahoma City Utilities. But with Edmond Utilities, I've heard at least that because they are city-owned, they sometimes are a little bit faster with their service, maybe a little more reliable than some of these other big companies that maybe are spread out across larger areas. And so I've heard that those Edmond Utilities definitely can be more reliable, maybe a little faster, but also that does come with a little bit of a higher price point compared to the Oklahoma City Utilities that you have if you live on the western side. And I will say, living on the western side, I don't notice necessarily slow responses. I don't notice necessarily bad service, but it's just one of those things that I have heard and read is that if you live in Edmond, those utilities may surprise you with just the service that you get in a positive way. Number 9 is you will never be far from a park. There are more than 30 parks and trails across Edmond, some of those being Arcadia, some of those being Mitch Park, Hafer Park. I love going on walks in these parks, but there's tons and tons of parks and trails just spread out across Edmond. They're working on connecting all the trail systems to basically take you from like one part of Edmond all the way across to I think Arcadia Lake. Last I heard they weren't finished with that, but honestly at this point it wouldn't surprise me if they were, because definitely outdoors, trails, walking, I would say that's kind of a big part of a lot of people's lives here. And a lot of people say that when they move here, they feel like there's a slower pace of life and just kind of being able to enjoy some of those things a little more than maybe they did from where they moved from, where there seems to be more hustle and bustle. And then number 10 on the list is you want to make sure that you know your HOA rules. So whenever you are moving here to Edmond, it is very common for your home to be located within an HOA. It's not impossible to find a house outside of one. There definitely are homes outside of HOAs, but I would say a large majority of the homes are within communities that have an HOA. Now, this comes with rules and regulations and also fees. So just make sure that as we're looking for homes, that we always check those HOA rules 100% before you buy a house. But I even also, if that's something that you're really worried about, would love to be able to find those and send them to you even before we put in any offers on a home. Because you want to make sure that you understand rules and regulations, because if you are really big into having a chicken coop in your backyard, that's like a really big deal for you, but you move into a HOA where they don't allow that, you just want to know those things before you put in any offers. So always just make sure that you're checking HOA rules and regulations before you get too sold on any one house. So these are 10 things that I hope are helpful for you as you're looking at moving to Edmond. Again, if you are thinking about moving, please feel free to reach out to me. I love getting to help people as they find their dream homes here in Edmond. And one of my favorite parts is just when people sell their homes or just move from other places and are amazed at how much more bang for their buck that they can get here, and are just really blown away by their homes and their lives that they build here. So thank you so much for watching to the end of this video, and I will catch you in my next one.